Welcome to another episode of the brand called You, a podcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from thousands of successful individuals from around the world. I am your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I'm privileged to welcome a very accomplished poet, author from New Jersey, USA, originally from Iraq, Faleeha Hassan. Faleeha, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so honored to be with you today.
Thank you.
And thank you so much.
Thank you. Faleeha is a poet, teacher, editor, writer, and playwright. She was born in Najaf in Iraq. She's the first woman to write poetry for children in Iraq. And given the amazing works that she's done, Faleeha has been awarded, recognized, and felicitated several times. So, Faleeha, before we talk of your journey as a poet, tell me about your own journey from Iraq to the United States and how that transition has shaped your life and work.
First of all, I want to say thank you so much for having me today. Actually, I am a poet, writer, playwright, teacher. I spent 24 years teaching Arabic language in different schools in my country. I published 25 books, and my 26th coming soon this month.
Wow.
Hopefully. Yeah, my poetry almost published for 20 languages. I am honored to have been nominated for Pulitzer Prize for my poetry book.
Wow.
And for Bush Card for my stories. Also, I'm thrilled that my book, War and Me, is published by Amazon. It's a memoir book. It's published by Amazon. Right now, it's bestseller in Amazon for the history of Iraq. And
fantastic. So before you go any further, I'm going to ask all our viewers and listeners to go and please check War and Me, written by Faleeha Hassan on Amazon. That she's showing us the book. And of course, I will go and check it myself. Thank you, Faleeha.
Thank you. And this book is available to all English-speaking readers, and I hope every reader will find what they like. For example, those who love adventure, they will find characters who went to the battlefields looking for their brothers or their fathers. Those who are curious to learn about the Iraqi family during the wartime, they will show how the Iraqi people suffered from starvation, disease, and how they face death every day. But the most important in this book, the reader will see how the war can affect innocent people, whether they are soldiers, women, or just kids. And in this book, the reader will see I wrote all my journey from my how, when I left my country in Iraq, my teenager, to came here to be a refugee in Turkey for when I'm having.
So please tell me one or two interesting stories from your book, War and Me.
One of this a story when I was in Turkey. I lived in different places in Turkey. One of these places is called Afyon Karsahari, but it is a mountain place. And I remember at 3 o'clock in daytime, all the fruit and vegetable, it will be frozen this time. We can use it.
Okay.
Like imagine the tomato, the eggplant, everything is frozen. And you need to throw this, that, and buy another one if you don't use it in the same time.
Wow.
That's and the bazaar was in a mountain. And if you want to get another food, you need to climb the mountain to get this food. And that's why I try my best. But one time I fell down and I broke my leg, and it's amazing story because, you know, when you go just to have something you like, but then you have an accident or you can't
Yep,
reach
yep,
it.
yep.
Yeah. It's
Very well
not
said.
easy. Yeah.
Wonderful.
And as you know, I am from Iraq, and
Yeah.
Iraq is, we don't have spring. We have 2 seasons. We have it's warm. I'm not saying cold. Warm winter because we don't use coats.
Yeah.
And very, very, very hot summer.
Correct.
You know, and when I transfer to that place, that's different environment for me.
Very
And
good. Wonderful.
yeah, yeah.
So tell me now a little bit about, you know, Iraq or Iraqi literature. What has been the role of women in Iraqi literature?
I think Iraqi women have had important role in literature since ancient time. The first known author and poet is from Mesopotamia, and her name Enhejoanna. Of course, you know about her. But then the masculine society demands the literature. And this is what makes women sometimes give up this role. So women must fight again to get back this role.
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Well said. Well said. And over the years, you know, I mean, before the war, Iraq was a big center of literature.
Yeah.
How have you seen Iraq evolve over the years? And what do you hope to see in the future?
I think because I lived all my life with the wartime, like, I mean, war, the Iraqi-Iran war that lasted for 8 years, and the blockade that lasted for 12 years. In this time, or in that time, we don't have book to borrow. We have a public library, but there is, you know, when you need a book to read, we was borrow this book from each other. And if we love the book, we rewrite the book in our notebooks. And I remember I still have these books, like novels for Marquise novels. All these books, I did rewrite them in, you know, in my notebook just to keep them, you know, with me. And then also the poets, we don't publish because we don't have money, or we don't have also a publication, you know, to take care of this publishing book. Poet and writer, almost I mean, all the poets, they do use, or they did use the photocopy and to print and publish them books. And also we had to travel from different cities to Baghdad, the capital, to Baghdad, just to give to give our poems or our stories to the magazine or a newspaper, and we hope they can accept it for publication.
Right.
And that's yeah, and that's and this is required money, time, offer. It's not easy. It's not easy. But everything is easy. Like there's more, everyone can, it's more opportunity for writers and poets to cement and publish, and the more. Any writer right now, he or she can cement the work by email, and that's very easy to do. It doesn't matter if it's rejected or accepted, but it's easy to send.
Correct.
In the future, I hope to see more readers than now. Yeah, because I want to share my works with another people.
Right.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Your work also, when I was reading about you and preparing for my conversation, your work also addresses themes of war, exile, and love. How do you approach these themes in your poetry?
Because I don't write from my imagination only. I write from my experience. And because I lived all my lifetime with war and blockade, and I saw how the people die because the war and the starvation and the short of medicine. That's why it's not easy to get rid of your memory. This is bad memory and start again. But I hope one day I can heal myself and write again with the peaceful and
Very nice. And Faleeha, as an advocate of peace, how do you think poetry can help to achieve these goals?
I think poetry is the only language can all the world understand and accept. And that's why I hope every poet has a unlimited goal to separate this language between people. It doesn't matter if he writes poetry with rhythm or without rhythm. I just want to other people can understand and be thankful to what he's doing, because this is in my mind, my idea. Poetry is only language everyone can understand. That's why we read poem came from India, from Japanese, from China, from Russia, from Iraq. We don't care from everyone, but we still working and find out. Correct. Like for me, every week I take some poems from different countries and I read them in my language, in English or in Arabic language.
Well said. And do you think a lot of your work has helped to build bridges between cultures, and foster understanding of your Iraqi experiences?
Actually, when I came here, 2012, as a poet, I'm someone similar to my experience. That's why I start to involve with the poetry events and literature events. But when I went there and I asked the people, they attend this event, I said, any Arabic or Iraqi poet or writer? And the answer was shocking, because all of them, they don't know anyone from Iraq or from the Middle East. Right. They just know Gibran, Khalil Gibran. That's it. With, his book, The Prophet. This is what they know. And they know, of course, different people, but they are not Arabic. That's why right now I said, I'm going to do my best. And I start to translate some poems from Arabic to English to introduce them to the American audience. Also, I did collect some poems in Arabic language, and I send it to another a poet and translator. His name Hussein Nasser Jabbar. He did also translate those poems, and we did publish it in anthology. It's called Voices from Iraq. And I'm continuing publishing my magazine, a small magazine. It's called My Mom Smile. And this is, I know this is just individual effort, but this is what it's not should, but this is what I can do it to separate the Iraqi literature.
Very well said. Thank you. Great response. Okay. The next question, Faleeha, is about wanted to ask you, how has your work evolved over the years, from the time you were very young, writing and coming to Baghdad to give your poetry, to today, when you are talking of much more intense subjects? What do you think has been the driving force behind your own growth?
I believe in time of war there is nothing to survive your waiting moments and Friday days just to read. And the reading make me actually surviving all these bad situations. And also reading gave me inspiration to write. And because I just can't wait until other moment happen, because all these news coming to you during the war, it's nothing heavy. And my reading, it was my escape. And after I read all these books, it gave me inspiration to write. And yeah, I think this is what happened with me. Also, I think I am talent. I have some skills, and the big thing I believe, Allah loved me. That's why he made me a poet.
Absolutely.
Because a poet is something very, very big, very great, and this is what happened.
Correct. But the other question I wanted to ask you, I'm also an author and I write.
Yes.
A lot of writing gets done based on a calm mind. You have been through such incredible turmoil. And now you are an immigrant, settled in USA. How has this turmoil and the fact that you are not in your own country, you're in an adopted country, how is that impacting your own writing and your poetry?
It's like the feeling of loneliness and inhalation. This is, you can see it more in my and sadness too. You can see it more in my poetry.
Right.
Yeah. I even if I want to write about subject with happiness subject, I can't avoid all these feelings and start writing about happiness. I try so many times to write about love, but even with love objects, something happened. Something reminds me my father and my mom love and how they miss each other when my father went to the battlefields fighting, or how I was, looking for any glamour news for my mom to just, make her come, because she was suffering because my brother, he was in the war side too.
Wow.
It's not easy. It's not easy. That's why it's like I think all my poetry and my prose, it's based on my experience. And right now I don't feel yeah, that's true, I don't feel happy, but I keep going, I keep writing, I keep rising, I keep doing what's supposed to do. But happiness, I mean, pure happiness, it doesn't come, because I still have family in Iraq. I miss them. I can be with them, and
I agree. Well said. And I can imagine how difficult the situation would be if part of your family is in Iraq and you are in the US with your family here. I have time for 2 or 3 more questions for you, Faleeha. My next question is that do you feel a sense of responsibility to represent Iraq and its unique culture in poetry?
I said that so many times. I said I can represent just myself. Because to represent your country is a big and great responsibility. I can't do it by myself.
Mm.
I can't say, oh no, I am a poet here from Iraq. I represent the Iraqi culture. No, it is so hard to say
Okay.
that.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So my next time for two more questions. I wanted to ask you if you can share one of your small poems for our viewers and listeners and explain its significance.
I'm going to share my poem. It's called A Nights of War. And this poem, you will see how we were suffering from the fear, and how we, as a kids, how we did respond to this fear, because we don't know what we should do. We are not fighter, we are not soldier, and we are just with my mom, and we have. I remember we are a big family, and yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was the older member in my family, and I was, saying, what should we do? There is no way to be safe. But in this poem, you will see how we was dealing with this situation. It's called A Nights of War. My mother forced us to go to sleep before sunset. She told us, the wearing siren will take the sleep from your eyes, just as the raid will take the houses from their streets. We run toward everything. We eat from fear of running out of food. We drink water without thirst. And like chicks, we crawl into her abaya and sleep without sleep. At dawn, we run toward the windows and open our eyes wide when we start counting all the destroyed houses around us.
Wow.
And thank God for the blessing of sleep.
How beautiful. How beautiful.
Yeah, we say, oh, thank God we was sleeping when all these things happened.
I know.
Yeah,
very beautiful and such a powerful emotion you have brought out in such few lines. Thank you so much for sharing this, Faleeha.
Thank you. Yeah, because you request the short poem. That's why
I agree. And it's very kind of you to have read it out yourself. So my last question to you now, and this is for the many, many people who will listen to our conversation. As someone who's such a well-respected and recognized poet, what advice would you give to aspiring poets and writers around the world? And what do you think are some lessons that you would give to them?
The most important advice is for the poet or writer to believe in himself first, and not to stop writing, and to be avid reader for more and more and more books. Because if he stopped reading, everything will go.
Correct.
And if he don't believe himself, he never take the first step. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. And on that note, Faleeha, and the amazing tips that you have given, believe in yourself, don't stop writing, and the third one was be an avid reader, which is so important. Thank you so much for talking to me about your amazing journey. Thank you for talking to me about so many different aspects of your work as a poet. Thank you for talking to me about your latest book, War and Me. And as I said, I'm sure a lot of our viewers and listeners will go and check your book on Amazon. Thank you also for speaking to me about the influence that your country, Iraq, has had on your writing. And thank you also for reading out a short poem, which is so powerful. Thank you again for speaking to me, and good luck.
Thank you so much for having me, and I appreciate what you have done. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the Brand Called You.